Okay, let's
right.
get people through some plateaus.
Yes, plateaus and training through them, as well as just trying to like how to navigate them. Um, Plateaus are tricky, and for me, I think the biggest plateaus I experience comes to strength.
Oh,
Typically with Olympic movements. So for me, back squats, bench, strict press, those things, I can typically have a pretty good progression and continue to progress as long as I continue to do what I'm doing. But the biggest plateau I experience will come down to Olympic barbell movements.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not like for everyone. Some people plateau with their cardio. Some people plateau with their strength. Some people plateau with gymnastics.
Even like weight loss.
Yeah.
Just their overall fitness, things they're able to do. And the big thing, you already said the word progression.
Yeah.
You said strength progression. That's the biggest thing that I notice people miss on is progressing their movements. Mm-hmm. And this is something that I've seen mostly with members who have been here for a few years.
Yes.
The first year, like you're just hitting PRs left and right. Like strength numbers are going up, things are becoming easier. You're making the burpees hard. You're doing like you just keep progressing, and then you kind of hit this flat line where it's like a year or two in. Okay, I found the pull-up option that I like, green band hole 15 in the J cups, or I found the box that I like to modify my burpees to, or I found whatever, you name it. And then every time pull-ups show up in a workout, they instantly grab a green band hole 15.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if the workout is supposed to be, hey, we're working up to a heavy 5 set of pull-ups today, or we're doing 20 unbroken. It's like they pick the same option.
Every time.
Or burpees show up. Boom. I grab the 20-inch box. I do burpees to that box. Doesn't matter if it's 5 burpees or 100 burpees. And that is wrong.
I mean,
very easily said.
Yeah.
The problem with that is you're now not progressing. You have found one option and you stick to it no matter what. If you stop pushing the movements and you stop pushing things harder, you're not going to get the results.
Yeah, and I like to use strength specifically with some type of barbell as the example because it's easy to see this way. The idea is let's say we start with back squats, we do a 3x3. Let's say it's week 1. Then in week 2, we do our 4x3. We're adding another set. So you can either stay the same weight or add a little bit more weight, but the idea of volume is increasing there. So we're making it tougher because now you're doing that same load at the same intensity and so forth. And then as the next set comes along, then the idea is to add a little bit more weight, and then you add a little bit more weight. And yeah, it gets tougher, and that's the idea. But typically you'll see strength adaptations from that because we're progressing in some type of way. We're either A, increasing our weight, or B, we're increasing our volume. So we have some type of progression going on. And when we have and gymnastics movements are tough to not fall in that trap. But in order to get better at gymnastic-based movements or body weight movements like the pull-ups, we'd still have to progress in some type of means. And that's where we see a lot of people fall in a trap because they're like, well, this is my comfortable spot. This is the spot I know I can complete this workout, or I know I can do well with this movement. And I think a lot of that comes down to the comfort issue that a lot of people have is once they're comfortable, they're settled, and like this is what I'm going to choose. Progressing is not going to be comfortable.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. It's going to make things harder, and that's the idea.
The only way you're going to get better at anything is if you keep pushing the boundaries of your comfort level.
Yeah.
Right? You have to do things outside of your comfort zone to get better. And like you said, strength is table.
I know. It's driving me nuts, too.
At a restaurant, you got to put the ketchup packets underneath. Strength, it's simple, not easy. It's simple to progress in strength because, hey, I used 65 pounds last time. This time for the same 5x5, I'm going to use 70 pounds. I'm going to use 80 pounds, and it's easy to progress that way. But, yeah, things like pull-ups, burpees, push-ups, it's a little bit more challenging to progress. And for some reason, we see it all the time. People, they just get stuck in their ways of, hey, this is what I do every time. And what this podcast is meant to be about is, not saying you're wrong, but we encourage you to choose more challenging options.
Yeah,
start to explore and push your limits because our bodies are amazing things and they will adapt to the stress that's put on them.
Yeah.
If you're choosing the same option, you're no longer really putting much stress on your body. Your body's like, oh, I've done, again, band assisted pulls with a green band at hole 15. I do that every single week. That's easy. I'm not gonna adapt. I'm not going to get stronger. I'm not going to shed the body fat, whatever the thing is. So we really encourage you to push outside the comfort zone. Try lowering the J-cups by a few. Try taking away a red band, adding a blue band. If we're talking about burpees, take the box away. Go all the way to the ground, even if you're slower. And the days that are best to do that are AMRAP days, because you get cut off at 10 minutes or 14 minutes or 21 minutes, whatever it is, no matter what. And I had the conversation with someone the other day. They're like, well, I don't want to spend the whole time, just doing the burpees. Like, maybe you should. If you suck at burpees and that's what you need to work on today, if it takes you half the workout, then you're going to get better at burpees really quick, as opposed to modifying it, blowing through it really easy, and doing all the other things.
Yeah.
But it's okay. No, I'm not saying do that every workout, but every now and then when there's an AMRAP and you get cut off at a specific time anyway, choose the harder option. Even if you're going to go slower, get less rounds, you're going to continue to get better at the movements that you want to, because you're pushing them and making them harder. And that's really how you progress.
Yeah. Is making it more challenging. I think even on top of that is some people forget about modifying can come in many different forms. We can also modify reps.
Yeah,
so if you do make it tougher, you're like, dude, I am going to spend half the workout. You can still work on that, still make that stinking tough, but maybe cut a couple reps off. That way you can still hit the other movements and enjoy a little bit here and there, but you're still progressing that by making it a tougher option. We just cut the reps back a little bit. Cool. We're still getting work now in that zone of things.
And in my opinion, most workouts, not every workout, most workouts, I would rather you do that and you're going to get more benefit from it. If you can do the full movement, do it.
Yeah.
Even if you're cutting the reps back, especially if you want to get better at that movement. That's pull-ups are an easy example. If you normally do jumping pull-ups or banded pull-ups and you finally get a couple strict or kipping pull-ups, whatever it is, and a workout has 20 kipping pull-ups, you're like, I can do 3, but I can't do all 20. Cut the number down to 10 and chip away until you get 10, and you will get better at doing those kipping pull-ups rather than continually doing jumping.
Yeah.
At some point, you need to take the next step if you want to progress. And doing more jumping pull-ups isn't necessarily going to get you better at kipping pull-ups.
No, it's
Starting to work on kipping pull-ups will. Same thing like if you start to get some toes to bar. It's time to stop doing hanging knee raises and start doing full toes to bar, and eventually those things are going to get better. It's just like anything, driving, shooting guns, playing a piano. Like you have to, if you're trying to shoot, your competition shooter, at some point your accuracy's there. Now we got to go for speed, or the speed is there. Now we got to work on the accuracy, but you have to push the limits to keep getting better. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And like you said, I think the prime example for me is chest to bar used to be one of my biggest weaknesses. Like, God, if it worked on chest to bar, I would run away from it. I knew it was going to be a nightmare. But this year, especially, I started when I saw pull-ups. I still do pull-ups every now and then because it's still beneficial to practice. But now I typically scale up my pull-ups to a chest to bar option. And now I'm starting to get to the point where my chest to bar are looking better and better, and I'm making muscle-ups become more of a habit in my workouts. But these things are now progressing, whereas I only used to be able to do 1 or 2 chest to bar or 1 or 2 muscle-ups, and it was that way forever just because I was afraid to just make myself
suffer.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't going to try to use that word, but that's the idea. Make it more challenging. Muscle-ups aren't an easy movement. You throw them in a workout, it becomes even tougher. And so sometimes just embracing that uncomfortability that I'm going to be a little bit slower. I'm going to suffer a little bit more. It's going to be much more challenging than I want this workout to be, but it's how my muscle-ups are going to grow. And now it's at the point where I can do 5, 10 muscle-ups. Now I can do 5, 10, 15 chest to bar. And those things are now starting to progress. And it's just because I had to, pick and choose my workouts. I was like, okay, this one I'm going to have to slow down a little bit just so I can work on this movement to actually start to get time with it.
Yeah. And for most people that come in, most of our members that come in here, they don't have access to the gym all day like we do. Yeah. So they can't practice all of these things except for the 1-hour workout that they get. So that's where it becomes even more important to take the 1-hour group workout that you're doing and really make sure it's customized to what you want to get better at. If your goal is to get better at pull-ups or to get, all the way down on burpees or better at push-ups, whatever, you're going to have to choose the harder option and make it a not as fun of a workout. Sometimes that's just what it's going to be, but that's how you progress.
Yeah. And that's like the same case goes for like cardio, like the bike. I get constantly asked like, how do you get better bike? I was like, you gotta embrace the suck. You gotta embrace the suck. Like you have to get uncomfortable. You're gonna redline. You're not gonna you're not gonna want to get back on the bike. You're not gonna want to do the bike, but embracing that uncomfortability and like pushing those cadences and pushing those paces and pushing those calories is how that 5 calories becomes 6 calories. And that becomes a little bit easier. And you can start doing 7 calories in a workout. And then you can do it. So that's how we start to progress. It's not going to be cutting down our calories every time, doing it just for time frames. It's somehow pushing it in some capacity. So now we can start to growth. Like I can hold 100 plus cadence now for 15 seconds or so, but I could not do that a year ago.
Right.
But I biked. I embraced the suck. I got uncomfortable. I redlined. Some workouts I was slow because of the bike, but I just endured, and now my bike is one of my strongest categories of things. So it's just one of those things you have to kind of, again, progress in some type of shape or form.
Yeah, especially with CrossFit when a big emphasis is placed on, what you can do, the functionality. It's not necessarily, hey, how do you look? It's like, what can your body do? What can you perform? What work can you get done? Can you do a pull-up? Can you do a full burpee? Can you jump on this high of a box? If that's one of your goals, and like you said, the only way you're going to get there is by keep making the things harder. All of the modifications that we show, the goal of those modifications is to build up either the muscles, the endurance, the technique of whatever it is to get to the harder movement. So once you master one of those progressions, then you progress.
Yeah.
And then you find something harder. Then you master that one. That becomes easy. Then you find the next one and the next one and the next one. And that's one of the things I really love about, that's why I've been doing CrossFit since 2000, I don't even remember, 8 years. And I still haven't got bored with it. Because there's still things that I can progress and I can make harder and I can continually to work towards mastery. Instead, like if I just did the same thing, the same like modification for every movement, I'd be so bored.
Yeah.
And I see this pitfall with people who have been here for, like I said, a year, 2 years. They found the things and they're just kind of hovering in the spot. So my recommendation is 2 things. 1, start making the movements harder and decrease the reps in the workout instead of scaling the movement. Choose the harder movement option, even if it means decreasing the reps, and go that way. And if you have specific questions on like, hey, this is the movement I'm struggling with, this is what I want to work on, come talk to us. Talk to us.
Absolutely.
But it's find the next progression towards the thing and work on it, even if it's less reps than everybody else in the workout. That's how you get better. If I'm really comfortable jumping on a 20-inch box, like, man, I know I got to get to that 24-inch box. The workout has 50 box jumps. Cool. Maybe I only do 10 instead of 50, but at the higher box. And that's how you get better at it.
Yeah. And the other thing is just don't be afraid to try.
Yeah.
Some people, they get so caught up in trying to progress, and they don't ever try the new thing. They're like, I'm going to work this same exact modification, this option, this scale, whatever you want to say, for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks because it's how I'm going to get better. But they never end up trying the next step up.
Yeah.
It's like, don't be afraid. Just try. See what happens.
And
like
failure is a part of that journey. That's one thing most people don't realize is how many muscle ups did you fail before you got one?
I literally have a video. I took especially ring muscle ups. I have a compilation of ring muscle ups. I tried one for like every day for like 3 months.
Yes.
So I have like hundreds of attempts on those rings, and I would fail after fail after fail.
I know how many times I've fallen on my face trying to do handstand walks, and how many times I've failed certain weights at different lifts. And whenever you're pushing yourself and you're wanting to progress, failure is going to be part of that process, and that's okay.
That's how you know whether you can do it or not.
Yeah, that's how you learn and grow.
Yeah.
And eventually you just come back and keep doing it. And cool, I wasn't there yet. Let me come back to some of these regressions. We'll work on them. Then we'll take the next step up. Nope, failed again. Kind of come back a little bit, work on them. And that's the only way of moving forward is through, like, you're never just going to, okay, I'm going to work on these couple pull-up options, and then I'll hop up and all of a sudden just doing pretty butterfly pull-ups. That's not how it goes.
Yeah.
The only reason we are all good at a lot of these movements is because we failed at them over and over and over again. But eventually you get good at them.
Yeah, you learn, and like you said, you learn from your failure. And like if you're never willing to try, you're not going to progress.
Yeah,
And
Nope.
that's the grand scheme of things. If you want to progress, sometimes you just gotta try.
Mhm.
Sometimes you gotta try a little bit heavier. Sometimes you gotta try a little bit faster. Sometimes you gotta try a different progression.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't go very well. Maybe it goes amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know until you
Yep.
try.
Exactly. I like it.
So, all right. Well, that's progressing, or how to start to get through those plateaus. You have anything else to add to that?
Nope. Go hard.
All right. I love it.
Go home.
Go home.
You can still come in.
Yeah, don't go home. Come back. All right. And on that note, we'll go ahead and end today's episode there. Thanks for those that are watching and listening. Don't forget to subscribe for more and leave us a like. We do appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Peace.